All right, welcome back. I really thought that the bending of the longerons was going to be a much more involved process than it was. I guess it was just scarier than anything. It really wasn't that bad. All told, I think it only took me about maybe an hour or two tops to get them all bent the way they needed to be. Now there's definitely tweaking that has to be done. I've installed the one lower longeron. I did it off camera, sorry about that. But the one lower longeron on the left side of the fuselage, I have fitted up and I have it match drilled now, and there's a process to fitting it, and there's also another process to the order that you match drill it. I will show you that on the other side because I still have to do that. And that longeron needed tweaking. Again, not from any of the bends I put in. Those all seem to be perfect, and of course, why wouldn't they be? But the bends that came from Vans, I had bend the aft end of it in just a little bit so it wasn't under a whole lot of tension where it lines up with the trailing edge, or the back edge. I guess it's not really trailing edge. Anyhow, what I'm planning to do now is more of this forward fuselage structure is what they call it. Is a big, long, involved step that includes installing these lower and auxiliary longerons, these side panels that you saw me working on in the previous video. So I'm going to get all of those fitted, match drilled, painted, primed, Cerakoted, whatever the process is, depending on where they're at, just as you've seen me do before. And we'll see how much of that I manage to get done between now and Thursday morning when I leave again. Don't know if I'll get there, not sure when you'll see this, but that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. Thank you to everybody that reached out. It was Sky Designs that makes the landing gear I had in question. Turns out they are still in business, just whatever, all the links I have to their websites don't work. But I will get with them here eventually and get those gear on order. Right now, I've spent some of that money buying the tail wheel kit, plus some other life things that popped up. Got to buy some stuff for the well, life out in the country. But we'll get there. Anyway, stick around, comments, questions below, and as always, VoiceOver Tim will get you caught up on what does or does not actually happen. All right, welcome to the voiceover part. First order of business, stay in the air conditioning. So I'm spinning the fuselage around there and just getting it situated so I can stay in my little happy spot of air conditioning. The first part of this is just finishing up that forward structure and the lower and auxiliary longerons. As I mentioned in the intro, I said I would show you guys the process on this side. So the same thing happened on this side. You can see how much that longeron is sticking out. The vertex is supposed to be flush with the skin. So take it out, take it to the vise, make a couple of adjustments with the mallet and some persuasion, put it back on, and here's the result. Much better. You can see it's actually flush with this bottom skin right there. So now that that's all done, get to clamping this thing in place. And you got to start match drilling all of the holes on the bottom. The way you do this is you start with the aftmost hole, which is that one right there. Put a cleco in it to help hold everything in place. Then you're going to go do the front 4 holes, which start out as number 30, and then you have to enlarge them to number 12 because they're going to be bolt holes. And you definitely need some bow lube for this because you're not just going through aluminum, but you're going through that corner steel gusset that's part of the firewall. So just some double checking on what needs to be done next. Get under there and drill those ones to number 30, and then they had to get enlarged to number 12. Once you get those done, you can put some bolts in them to hold them in place, and then start drilling out all the other holes to number 30 and put some clecos in as you go. The only other 2 different ones are the 2 right in the middle of the landing gear box towers right there. Those are going to get upsized to number 19 because they're going to get some, there you go, I'm upsizing them there. They're going to get some number 8 screws in those spots. You also, part of what I was doing there, have to get the countersink out and countersink them because they're going to be flush mounted screws. Anyhow, take it all back out, deburr everything, clean it all up really well, and then we're going to put it back together. And the instructions were very clear on this, and I'm sure it's for alignment, but they say to put a bolt in the forwardmost and aftmost hole on that front gusset I'm working on right there, and then put the number 8 screws in the gearbox, and then put a cleco in every single hole along that entire thing. So this ate up a whole bunch of my copper clecos just on these 2 sides alone. By the time we get done with this video, I am 100% out of the 1/8 inch copper clecos. In fact, I think I need to order more because one thing I noticed is this is going to end here soon, and then I'm going to move into the mid-fuselage structure and the skins, and that'll be the second half of this video. There you go. You can see the bolts in the forward and aft holes, and you're also going to see those are the number 8 screws inside the gear towers, and then there's all the clecos installed. Anyhow, yeah, so you end up clecoing this whole structure together, rear skins and all, well, mid skins I guess, and I read ahead several different sections, and at no point does it have me take any of it apart after I final drill it, prime it, paint it, whatever, and then put it back together and rivet it. It just has me keep it where it's at. Although the next section I start talks about putting the midsection back on the forward section, which it already was, so I don't know if I missed something, but I didn't see anything there. So we'll see. Moving along, I said the auxiliary longeron. So you see I stuck it in there, and it's got a little recessed notch that sits behind this plate that goes over the gear tower, and that's all that holds it in for right now. Ultimately, it's going to get match drilled to everything that goes across there, but none of the steps have you do that right now. They just have you put them in. Presumably in a future step when I put the skin on, you're going to match drill all of this at the same time. But for now, it's kind of just pinched in and floating there. There's also, hard to see, but there's a little doubler plate that goes right below it to fill the space so that top plate can go over it. Anyhow, moving on to putting the rest of the skins on. Just getting, decided I'd take the plastic off, make for a tighter fit, and then you got to get these gussets in, and these are ones that I bent and had to put that curve in a little while ago, and they were really finicky to get in there. You do have to do some shaping on the fingers of it to get it to sit nice in the gusset. The idea is when you're all done and you put clecos in it, you just want to make sure that it is sitting nice and tight and flush and not being held away from the skin at all. So there was a little bit of tweaking back and forth, but otherwise good. Also, the steps tell you to install the clecos from the inside out so that you can facilitate putting the skin on later. This probably doesn't need to be as dramatic as what the instructions kind of made it out to be. Like, you see I have a whole bunch of the clecos facing outwards to help hold the skins on later, but in reality, since you're going to be clecoing it all on and final drilling it, you really only need a few clecos holding those items on right now from the inside out, and then the rest of them you can put on from the skin side once you start hanging the skin. It makes it a lot easier because there's so many clecos, and you'll see I'm pulling a lot of them out here in a little bit when I get to putting the skins on and then moving them to the front side just to make life easier. Because once you get those skins on, it is considerably harder to reach down and inside of this thing. Anyhow, moving on, these are the mid support sections and armrests that are going to go on the inside of the skin back there. So just like everything else, it's unwrap it, do the edge prep, final drill all of the nut plate holes that are on there, and then machine countersink a whole bunch of those holes. Nothing to see here. didn't figure we'd waste any time on it. This is the big one for this entire thing, and that's bending of the mid skins here. First thing you got to do, both skins are identical. Neither one is a left or a right at this point. They're just mirror images, well, identical images of each other. You need to mark out where the bends are going to go, and the plans show you 5/8 of an inch up from that bottom edge, and then a 1/4 inch below that angled rivet line. So mark your lines, make marks on there to show you where the bends are going to be. The plans tell you to cut a 2x4 with a 45-degree angle in it so you can bend up towards it to use it to hold this down, but I have this really nice straight edge that already has a 45-degree in it, so it was already an ideal thing to use for this. So I used that to clamp it down. Then you have to take some 3/4 inch aluminum angle, which you should have a bunch of it because they gave you extra sticks in the wing kit. Cut a couple of lengths just longer than that bottom line. You're going to match drill the first and the last cleco that hold them together, and you need to put a relief cut, which I didn't do a big enough one. You're going to see it here in a minute. As you roll this up, the one on the pointy side of the cone, yeah, you see I'm remarking it now, ends up interfering. It's just too close to the other parts, so I went and made that relief bigger. Anyhow, start rolling it up, and you're going to make a cone-shaped bend. It's kind of terrifying. Definitely don't want to screw this up. The pointy end should have about an 1/8 inch radius, and the aft end should line up with those what do you call them? Ribs or formers or whatever they are back on the table there. Ideally, the flange that you're bending with should end up about 90 degrees to where it started. There you saw I was just using it as a fit up to see if it worked, and surprisingly I didn't kink anything, I didn't make any hard crease lines, and I got a really nice bend out of it. That was absolutely terrifying, so why not, let's do it again. You should get a better view of this one since it's up by the camera. Make the marks and then get everything clamped down and get to bending. And you're not going to get this in one straight bend. This is going to take several. And you see I bend it and let off and bend it and let off and check it. You want to keep going back and forth with this. You definitely don't want to go crazy. And they say in the plans it's better to slightly underbend than to overbend because you can still pull some of that in when you're clecoing it in place. And mine's just about perfect. I think I'm slightly underbent, which is probably where I'd prefer to be. But you definitely have to go beyond your final position several times just so that when it bends back, it settles where you want it to be. And there I am checking the radius again, make sure it looks good. And I'm happy with it. And there it is. Really nice, scary bend. All right, on to the next scary part. You have to take the seat rib that's going to get attached here in a minute, the right side one. I can't remember which number it is. And the right skin. Now there is a left and right now that I've put those bends in them. And you have to use a fly cutter and make a hole in both of them that match up to fit the ducting through for the Gasper vent for the rear seat passenger. I'm going to slow this down so you get an idea just how slow I'm actually going with the fly cutter here. I originally tried this on the drill press, can't get the drill to go slow enough, so I'm doing it with the hand drill. You really want to let the cutter do the work here. It doesn't need to spin fast. It's just a little bit of material every revolution. That'll keep it from trying to rip it out of your hands or bend the metal up or do anything crazy. In fact, there I was going just a little too fast, so I had to stop and slow it back down. There are guide holes to start out with, so you just have to identify where they are and make sure they match up. And then that should make sure that both pieces, like that, line up perfectly. Next up, it's time to install those ribs, cleco them back in place where they've got to go, and then I can start, well, I can put on a few more pieces of the seat rib angles that I just prepped, and then it'll be time to start putting some skin on. And as I was alluding to earlier, I've read several sections ahead, and I need to keep reading further ahead. At no point after I'm done final drilling does it have me take any of this apart and prime it, paint it, reassemble it, and rivet it together. So presumably this all has to stay temporarily together to fit up the next few sections, which leads me to believe I need a lot more of the 1/8 inch Clecos, because I'm completely out and I still have more sections I need to do while this is temporarily held together. I was also hoping that I could take it apart, scuff it, and prime and paint and all of that, this section, as I go, but doesn't look like it's going to let me do that. Although I might do it anyways, just so I've got a section done, and then it'll just stay Clecoed together. Anyhow, you get those skins put on. There's not that many Clecos on them yet, but there will be. Then you put on these rear bulkheads. That's what they are. I think they're 807 F807 bulkheads, and those will help you with those radiuses that you just bent into those skins. Everything should line up, and it lined up pretty good. Attention has to be paid to what overlaps what. The plans are pretty good at telling you that part, thankfully. Now, Cleco together the armrest side support sections. I chose to just lightly Cleco them together and put them in as one piece, but basically you start with the left side, get these all Clecoed in, and then you go do the right side. This part wasn't too bad. For whatever reason, when I had to do the other side, you'll see it here, one of those vertical ones kind of fought me. If you notice, I've got it in backwards. The curve is facing the wrong way. It takes me a second to figure it out as I'm looking at it backwards and upside down. So then my genius self flips it over thinking, yay, I'm good to go, except I still have it upside down. I have it facing the right way now, but it's upside down. Yep, not right. Take it apart again, try it one more time. Third time's the charm. So yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. It's all Clecoed together now. All these parts are there. There's a couple little more parts you're going to see me stick on here. And now I need to go through and final drill it all. I'm not going to make you suffer through all of that. I will probably get that done tomorrow, and then that'll probably be the last I get done before my trip. So it'll be another week and a half-ish before I get to doing anything else on the plane. Hope you all enjoyed it. As always, comments and questions below. I'll do my best to answer while I'm on my trip. And yeah, thanks for stopping by, and thanks for all of the support. I'll leave you with some parting photos. The first one's going to show the back end, which should do a pretty good job of showing how nicely those curves actually came out. If you can't tell, I'm really proud of those curves. There you go. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I will see you all on the next one.